Something unusual is happening inside the bodies of millions of people right now. A type of fat that many do not notice, cannot touch, and often do not even think about is quietly growing. It sits deep in the abdomen, wrapped around the liver, the pancreas, and the intestines. It squeezes organs, disrupts hormones, and triggers inflammation. This is visceral fat, also known as the silent killer fat. And here is the shocking part. It does not always show on the outside. Even a person who looks slim can have dangerous levels of it. Today, you are going to learn how to begin shrinking this hidden fat layer in the simplest way possible. Not through intense workouts, not through complicated diets, and not through extreme routines that only last a few days. You will learn a method so easy that almost anyone can follow it for 14 days straight. A method supported by science, used in clinical research, and proven to activate the body's natural ability to burn stored fat. A method that works quietly in the background while you go on with your day. Most people think visceral fat responds only to heavy exercise or strict meal plans. But there is a lesser-known truth. This internal fat reacts faster to daily timing patterns than most people realize. Studies show that when you give your body a break from constant eating, your metabolism begins to switch into a fat-burning mode that targets the deepest fat layers first. And this is where the world's easiest fast comes in. You do not need to starve. You do not need to be perfect. You only need a simple eating window that you can follow for 2 weeks. That is it. You will discover how a small daily adjustment can trigger lower insulin levels, reduce inflammation, quiet hunger hormones, and push your system to access stored fat. You will also learn how to make this method even more powerful with a few supportive habits that require no equipment at all. These are the same habits that researchers link to better waist measurements, improved organ health, and reduced risk of metabolic disease. Most people completely overlook these steps, but in this video, you will learn every one of them. There is also something else you should know. Visceral fat does not behave like regular belly fat. It is more active, more dangerous, and more responsive to change. When you give your body the correct conditions, it reduces faster than the soft outer fat layer. Most people try to pinch. That is why this 14-day method works so well. It goes after the fat that matters most, the fat that affects your hormones, your energy, your blood sugar, your sleep, and even your mood. By the end of this video, you will understand how this easy fast works, why it targets dangerous fat, how your daily timing affects your metabolism more than many people realize, the best foods to support the process, the small mistakes that stop progress, and the simple habits that double your results. You will also hear a few surprising facts researchers rarely share. For example, visceral fat can shift noticeably even when the scale does not move. You may lose inches before you lose kilograms. Your clothes may fit differently while your weight stays the same. And many people feel changes in their energy and digestion before visible results even appear. These early signals show that the process has already begun. Stay with this video until the very end, because each part builds on the previous one. If you skip even one step, the method becomes less effective. But when you follow the full 2-week plan from start to finish, you give your body the best chance to break down this hidden fat layer and restore metabolic balance. The final section of this video will guide you through the full 14-day routine day by day with clear steps that you can begin immediately. This is your moment to learn something simple, powerful, and backed by research. A method that can truly change the way you feel from the inside out. So settle in. Stay focused, and let us begin your 14-day journey toward a healthier core, a stronger metabolism, and a safer level of internal fat. Welcome to our channel. And if you want more science-based health videos made simple, Make sure to subscribe and join our growing community. Let us get started. Visceral fat is not the same as the soft fat that you can pinch under your skin. That outer layer is called subcutaneous fat. And even though many people dislike it, it is generally less harmful. Subcutaneous fat sits just beneath the surface, and you can usually see it or feel it. Visceral fat is completely different. It hides deeper in the abdominal cavity, packed tightly around vital organs such as the liver, pancreas, and intestines. You cannot touch it, and you cannot always see it, even on people who look slim from the outside. That is why many doctors call it hidden fat or silent fat. Medical research groups, including National Health Services and major clinical centers, point out that visceral fat is far more active than regular fat. It releases chemicals, hormones, and inflammatory signals into your bloodstream. These signals interfere with how your body uses insulin, how your liver processes nutrients, and how your heart maintains healthy blood flow. When the levels of visceral fat increase, the risk of serious health problems starts to rise as well. Conditions such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, fatty liver, and metabolic syndrome are all connected to excess visceral fat. It does not just sit there quietly. It pushes your system into a state of stress. One of the most surprising parts is that you cannot judge visceral fat by appearance alone. A person may have a flat stomach and still carry a high amount of internal fat around their organs. Another person may look heavier on the outside but have safer levels of visceral fat. This hidden nature is what makes it so dangerous. Many people do not realize they have it until symptoms or complications appear. Reducing visceral fat does far more than change the shape of your waistline. When this internal fat begins to shrink, inflammation drops, blood sugar control improves, hormones stabilize, and energy levels often rise. People report clearer thinking, better digestion, and a noticeable improvement in daily comfort. This is why focusing on visceral fat is about more than appearance. It is about restoring the health of the organs that keep you alive and strong. The core of this method is something known as time-restricted eating. It is a simple style of fasting where you eat all your meals within a shorter daily window and allow your body a longer break from food. This is not about skipping entire days of eating or pushing yourself into discomfort. It is simply choosing a set number of hours when you eat and letting your digestive system rest outside of that period. Most people find an 8-hour or 10-hour window easy to follow, such as eating from late morning to early evening. The goal is not to starve, but to create a predictable rhythm that your body can adapt to quickly. During the hours when you are not eating, your insulin levels naturally fall, your digestive organs take a break, and your metabolism begins tapping into stored fat for energy. This is where the magic begins for reducing visceral fat. When the body is not constantly processing food, it can switch from storing energy to burning it, especially the deeper fat that surrounds your organs. Research from several clinical studies shows that time-restricted eating can lower visceral fat more effectively than traditional calorie cutting alone. Participants who shortened their eating window experienced notable improvements in waist size, metabolic health, and internal fat markers even when they did not change the types of foods they ate. The reason this approach works so well is that visceral fat responds strongly to hormonal changes. When insulin remains low for longer periods, the body becomes more efficient at breaking down stored fat. This type of fasting also reduces inflammation and improves the way your cells use energy, which adds another layer of support for shrinking internal fat deposits. Many people feel more stable energy and clearer thinking once their body adjusts to the routine. The 14-day period is designed as a jumpstart, not a lifelong commitment. 2 weeks is long enough to trigger metabolic shifts. build consistency, and begin reducing internal fat, but short enough that it feels doable for beginners. After these 14 days, you can continue with the same window or adjust it to something more flexible. The purpose of this phase is to help your body reset its rhythm and begin clearing out the fat that has been sitting around your organs for years. The first 3 days are all about creating a stable foundation that your body can easily follow. Start by choosing an eating window that feels realistic, such as 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening, or finishing dinner a little earlier than usual. The goal is to keep the timing simple and repeatable. During these early days, avoid added sugars and processed foods because they quickly raise insulin and slow down the fat-burning process. Drink enough water throughout the day to support digestion, reduce cravings, and keep your energy steady. Add more movement wherever you can. Walk a little more, stretch during breaks, and avoid long periods of sitting. These small actions help your body shift into a rhythm that encourages fat use during the fasting hours. From day 4 to day 10, the focus is on building consistency. Keeping the same eating window every day sends a clear message to your metabolism. Your body begins to anticipate when food arrives and when it rests, which strengthens the fat-burning period. What you eat inside the window also matters. Choose meals rich in protein and fiber, such as lean meats, legumes, whole grains, and plenty of vegetables. These foods keep you full, steady your blood sugar, and support the reduction of internal fat. During this phase, include 2 short strength or resistance sessions. This does not require weights. Simple body weight moves like squats, push-ups, or slow controlled lunges are enough. Muscle activation improves glucose control and increases how much fat your body breaks down between meals. Sleep also plays a major role here. Aim for at least 7 hours each night. When sleep improves, your hormones settle, cravings decrease, and your body responds better to fasting. The final stretch, from day 11 to day 14, is where you push your progress a little further. Keep your eating window unchanged and continue choosing high fiber and high protein meals. If you feel ready, add 1 session of high intensity or slightly more vigorous cardio. This helps amplify fat use, especially in the deeper layers around your organs. You may notice that your stamina feels different during this stage because your body is now better at using stored energy. Begin tracking small changes. Measure your waist, check how your clothes fit, and pay attention to shifts in your morning energy. These signs often appear even before the scale moves. As you approach the end of the 14 days, start thinking about which habits you want to keep going forward. This helps you transition smoothly into a longer, more sustainable routine once the 2-week plan is complete. Shorter eating windows work because they change the way your body manages energy. When you are constantly eating from morning until night, your insulin levels stay higher and the body keeps storing energy instead of using what it already has. A restricted eating window creates longer breaks between meals, and during these breaks, insulin naturally falls. When insulin stays low for several hours, the body finally gains access to the stored fat that sits deep around the organs. This is one of the reasons time-restricted eating has been shown in research to lower visceral fat more effectively than many traditional diet approaches. Once the body switches into this state, it begins breaking down fat for fuel in a more steady and sustained way. Science also makes it clear that no single trick, supplement, or isolated habit is enough to melt visceral fat on its own. The most reliable results come from combining a consistent eating window with balanced nutrition and physical activity. When nutritious foods support your metabolism and exercise increases your muscle activity, the body becomes more sensitive to insulin and more efficient at managing blood sugar. Clinical experts point out that these combined efforts lead to a greater reduction in visceral fat compared to any single method used alone. Even simple strength training or moderate walking helps your muscles pull glucose from the bloodstream, forcing the body to rely more on stored fat to keep energy steady during fasting hours. Another key point is that visceral fat can respond faster than the fat just under your skin. Subcutaneous fat is more stubborn and often changes slowly, even when people are eating well and exercising. Visceral fat, however, is metabolically active, which means it reacts more quickly to changes in hormones, food timing, and activity. When insulin drops and the body enters a fat-burning state, visceral fat becomes one of the first types of fat to shrink because it is more sensitive to these metabolic signals. This is why many people begin to notice their waist tightening or their stomach feeling less bloated even before the scale shows major movement. The internal changes start first, and the outward changes follow with time. Many people struggle with reducing visceral fat because they unknowingly fall into patterns that slow their progress. One of the most common mistakes is trying to target the belly with spot reduction exercises. Moves like crunches, sit-ups, or AB routines can strengthen muscles, but they do not reach the deep fat surrounding the organs. Clinical experts often remind people that visceral fat responds to hormonal shifts and whole body changes, not isolated movements. Strengthening your core is useful, but it will not shrink internal fat on its own. Another trap is going into extreme calorie cuts or following diets that are too strict to maintain. When people slash their calories too aggressively, the body reacts by slowing the metabolism and increasing hunger hormones. This creates a rebound effect where cravings rise, energy drops, and the routine becomes impossible to sustain. Instead of reducing visceral fat, the body holds on to fat more tightly because it senses stress. A balanced eating window works better when meals remain nutritious, filling, and steady rather than overly restricted. Sleep and stress are two major factors that many people underestimate. When sleep is too short or too disrupted, the body produces more cortisol. High cortisol levels are linked to increased belly fat storage, especially the visceral type. High stress triggers similar responses. When your mind is overwhelmed or constantly tense, your metabolism becomes less efficient and your appetite becomes harder to control. Over time, poor sleep and chronic stress can undo much of the progress gained from fasting or exercise. Creating a calming nightly routine and setting healthy boundaries during the day can support your hormonal balance and help the body let go of deep abdominal fat more easily. Another mistake is ending the 14-day plan without any follow-through. People often see early improvements and then slip back into old habits once the 2 weeks are over. Visceral fat can return quickly when eating patterns become irregular again or when activity levels drop. The 14-day phase is meant to spark change, but the real benefits come when the rhythm continues. Even small parts of the routine, like keeping a consistent eating window, choosing whole foods, or adding light movement, help maintain the momentum. Without these steps, the body slowly drifts back into a storage mode and progress begins to fade. Once the 14 days are complete, the next step is shifting from a focused jumpstart into a routine that feels natural and sustainable. Your body has already begun adjusting to the rhythm of a controlled eating window, and now you can decide how to continue in a way that fits your daily life. Some people choose to keep the same window because it feels easy and stable. Others loosen it slightly, maybe moving from an 8-hour window to a 10-hour one. The key is finding a pattern that you can maintain without stress. Consistency matters more than perfection, So the goal is to keep a structure that supports your metabolism without feeling forced. Movement should also remain part of your weekly rhythm. Strength training and cardio sessions work together to keep your muscles active, your blood sugar steady, and your metabolism responsive. Aim for 3 to 5 sessions each week, mixing moderate cardio with short resistance or body weight routines. This does not need to be intense or overwhelming. Even short, focused workouts can help maintain the progress you created during the 14-day phase. Keeping your muscles engaged allows your body to use energy more efficiently and reduces the chances of visceral fat returning. Your eating choices continue to play a major role as well. Meals that include enough fiber, protein, and whole foods help stabilize hunger and prevent the spikes that push the body back into storage mode. Vegetables, legumes, lean proteins, and whole grains support digestion and help keep insulin levels balanced. Reducing processed foods and limiting added sugars makes it easier for the body to stay in a healthier metabolic state. These habits are not temporary rules. They become part of a long-term pattern that supports internal health and energy. It is also helpful to monitor key health markers from time to time. Measuring your waist, noticing how your clothes fit, tracking your morning energy, or paying attention to how your body responds to meals gives you real feedback on what is working. Visceral fat often changes quietly before the scale moves, so these small checks help you stay aware of your internal progress. By paying attention to these signals and adjusting your habits when needed, you keep your momentum going and prevent slipping back into old patterns. You now have a clear and simple method that does not require extreme diets, expensive equipment, or complicated rules. Just a steady 14-day eating window and a few healthy habits that support your body from the inside out. This journey is not only about changing what you see in the mirror, it is about protecting your heart, your liver, your energy, and your long-term health. When you give your body the rhythm it needs, it responds quickly, especially in the deep areas where visceral fat hides. Commit to the full 2 weeks and stay consistent with the steps you have learned. You will feel the difference in your energy, your focus, your digestion, and the lightness around your midsection. Let this be the moment you take control of your internal health and move toward a stronger, cleaner, more efficient metabolism. If this video helped you understand your body better, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. More simple, science-based routines are on the way to help you stay healthy and informed. Here is to your leaner waistline and healthier organs.